Hi, and welcome to Real Life with Jenny. My name's Jenny Senaparatna. Grab your favorite drink and a snack, and we will get started. Yes, I feel like I'm in a rut, and I'm currently drinking Lady Grey tea. Not that the rut's bad, I'm kind of enjoying my Lady Grey. And I also have some cheddar flavored veggie chips. Sounds a little weird, but they're okay. Anyway, let's get real. So, this weekend we had the opportunity to go to a church and my husband was speaking. Now, that you're like, okay, Jenny, you do that every weekend. And you're right. Almost every weekend we do go to different churches, and that is our life, right? But this time it was about an hour from home, which isn't super far. And so my daughter was at our home church, and so I did not. I'm saying we. My husband dropped her off in the morning and then came back and got me because I'm not an early bird. And we took our drive to this town. Now, it is not a large town. In fact, I've actually never heard of the town before, which is very rare for me because we've been most places in Minnesota. But we went to this town and we went kind of the back way. You know, you have that little lady that is on your phone that tells you where to go, and you're not 100% sure she knows what she's doing. Yeah, that's where I was going. Are you sure this is taking us somewhere? We were taking the weirdest route. It would be like 1 mile, then turn, then another mile, turn the other way. It was like left, right, left, right. And I was like, is this, like, are we just going in a big circle? What is happening here? But we took probably one of the most beautiful drives I have taken on a Sunday morning in a really long time. Now, I love Minnesota. I think it is a beautiful place full of lakes. So if you like water, Minnesota is your place, right? Like there is a body of water anywhere within a mile from you. Now, I don't know if that's actually true, but that's what it feels like. In fact, from my house a mile out, even though they're like man-made lakes, there's like 4 or 5 of them like within a mile of my home. It's kind of crazy. So I'm really, really used to seeing a lot of water. But on this drive, we were driving through very small little towns, and there would be cornfields and soybean fields. At least I think that's what they are, because I am not a farmer. So I'm just imagining. I think they're corn, though I'm pretty sure I know what corn looks like. And then you'd come to some marsh where there would just be land with just beautiful little bodies of pools of water, and it was gorgeous. I'm telling you, I was like, let's just skip church and do this drive again. Like, it was just amazing. I got to church going, oh, wow. And then I sat down in church and I looked out the window, and honestly, I was so excited because there was a cornfield right next to a cemetery, which is really weird for most people, but it was just one of the most beautiful sights. It was a beautiful little cemetery and a beautiful little hobby farm right next to one another. And it was just such a beautiful, I keep saying beautiful. It was just a lovely sight. So we get in the car to come home, and I am super excited about our drive home because I was like, I really enjoyed it coming out here. And you know how it's always like 3 times longer to go somewhere than it is to come back? You know, I don't know why that is, but it's always like, are we ever going to get there? And then all of a sudden you're like, oh, wow, how did we get home? So I get in the car and we pull up our little machine again, and she's telling us how to go, and she brings us to the highway. And I was like, okay, why are we on the highway? All of a sudden, on the way here, we are on every county road you can imagine. I was like, wow, who knew? I think she just took us in circles just to keep it to an hour. I'm not sure. But we took the highway home, and it was like, I'm like, did we even drive for half an hour at this point? Is this town only really half an hour away? And I got home and I was thinking about, how disappointed I was to be on the highway, because really there's not much to see on the highway. Yes, there are fields, but nothing beautiful. Like, I'm just not a big highway girl. I really love the back roads. And I was reminded of the poem, Take the Road Less Traveled, right? Now, I don't know who even wrote it. I'm not that cool. I probably should have looked it up, but that's okay. But I had the quote on my door at school when I worked there. And it was about you have two paths in life. And you can take the road that everybody's traveled, or you can take the road less traveled. And that morning, we took the road that was less traveled. And it was so good for my soul. I'll just be completely honest. I was feeling really blue, feeling very discouraged, like, Lord, where are you? I mean, that's honestly where I was. I was like, Lord, I don't even, like, here I am, a podcaster and a pastor's wife, and I love the Lord, and I'm going, Lord, where are you? I am not seeing you right now. And he took me on the road less traveled, and he showed me who he was through the beauty that was around me. And I had forgotten that taking that road less traveled sometimes is a little bit longer and a little more frustrating sometimes, because you feel like you're going in circles and you don't know where you are. But the joy of being on that road less traveled is being able to see God's beauty and his handiwork in what you came through and what you've been through. And I really think that's our Christian walk, isn't it? My husband talks about going on adventures with God and how that is so important because we so think that Christianity is boring. And that day was so inside of me that I was like, here I am thinking my relationship with God is boring. And he's like, hey, no, it's not. If you take that adventure with me and go on the road less traveled, stop going down the road that looks easy and the road that you've kind of paved yourself and everybody else is going to, and it makes sense for everyone else, and go to the road that God's called you to. Now, I talk a lot about that. I talk a lot about following what God's called you to, because we are so unique. Now, I do not think that my husband had an aha moment that day. In fact, I'm guessing when he's listening to this podcast, he's like, no, I don't remember it that way, Jenny. But for me, it was an aha moment, because God created me uniquely. He created you uniquely. And he has a unique path for you. He has a unique adventure for you. It is time to get off the merry-go-round of our lives and take that road that's less traveled. I don't know what that means for you. I just thought it was such an encouragement to me that God is around me. And that no matter whether I feel him or not, and you didn't see my air quotes there, but that's okay. All of a sudden I'm like, wait, they can't see me. Whether I can feel God or not, he is still there creating the earth, and he is still there spinning the world in orbit. Like, it is just amazing to me when you drive through just an hour away from my home and you see so many different landscapes within that just hour, that how he was so creative, and how we so put him in a box. We say, God, here's what you can do. This is what I understand you can do. Now just stick with this box. In my life, you can only heal so many things. You can only help my finances so much. You can only touch this relationship to this ability. You really can't get me a promotion at work because, it's not really your place. Now, we never say that, right? Of course, all of a sudden you all went, whoa, Jenny. But we never say that. Like, we never say, God, this isn't your place. But we never bring it to him and say, God, what can you do with this? We say, that's really not something God deals with. And we put him in a box. And I think it's time to take God out of his box and say, God, what can you do in my life? If I give it all to you, what kind of adventure could we go down? What kind of road are we going to travel that could change your life? Well, that is all I have for you this week, kind of short and sweet, and that's okay. You can find us at Real Life with Jenny on Instagram and on Facebook. You can also find me at christconnection.cc/Jen All of my information is there. And don't forget to submit your question for Ask Jenny Anything for our 100th episode, which is coming up really soon. Oh my goodness, it's coming up fast. On Instagram or on Facebook, or you can email me, and that is at christconnection.cc. I'm excited for you to take God out of that box and start traveling down the road less traveled. Let's see where He's going to take us and see what kind of adventure we can go on this week.